Hi, I'm Don Claker, and this is my Gen X perspective. Well, I was born in 1966, so that makes me 58 years old. And I have I guess, a perspective that I've been looking at after watching other people's channels talk about Gen X and just the experience of what that was like, specifically growing up in the 70s. From where I stand, it was magical. The neighborhood kids, everyone just got together and we took care of each other. It was just, I don't see that today. I really don't see any of that today. Kids hide in the house, parents keep their children in home, or you have a play date or one of these things. And when I was growing up as a child in the 70s, is specifically where I'm going, and some of the 80s, some of the early 80s. I was 10 years old in 76. So, in 86 I was 20. So I got a big part of technology and just how everything changed. So I was there and I specifically remember everything like it was yesterday. It's very vivid for me. The advent of video games and then the consoles that you could have in your home. I mean, this stuff was mind blowing to me. And my little brother and me at the time, it was like magic. This stuff was literally like magic. And like Pong, I mean, everybody had Pong. I forget what that was in 70. I think it was 78 or 79, somewhere around in there. I'm sure I'm wrong with my times and dates. But that stuff was insane. And then when you get to the early 80s and Pac-Man came out and Asteroids was like the very first one, really. That was like the really crazy thing. And it just blew my mind how much stuff was just changing from just a few years before. Because I remember specifically in the early 70s, and I can remember from 1972 really well. It was really just like, simple. Everything was really simple, and I'm sure that the early 70s were a lot like the, 40s and 50s and 60s. In my little hometown, at any rate, it wasn't New York City. It was just a little sleepy town, and this is, before the 95 went through. It was a small farming town. Boothwyn Farms was what it was called. And my dad, when he had first come there, and he lived in Roxborough, Philadelphia, he's like, "Oh my God, this is like paradise. It's like heaven out here." It was, it was as rural and Mayberry as it would possibly get. He was so excited, and he married my mom. They had me, and we lived in Boothwyn. Then we bounced back and forth from Delaware and then back to Pennsylvania, and we just did all these really cool things. It was really interesting, and just going to the beaches over in Wildwood, New Jersey, and just doing all these things. It was just so much fun. At any rate, I'm just going to be going into my little tirade about just how I remember things. And I just think it's interesting because the parallel from today to back then, it is literally like night and day. And collectively, I look at how families interacted with each other. My family specific, it was a matriarchy with my great-grandmother, Sophia. We called her Nanny. And she was like the glue and kept the whole family together. She had she was a daughter of 7 sisters, and it was like everybody was so tight back then. And this is in the early 70s I'm referring to. And as the older people started to die, people came around less and less often, and people just die off because that's, life. But when my great-grandmother had died, it was a gut punch I haven't had since, because it really felt like everything was over. And when she died, basically the family splintered up. And this has happened with a lot of other, families as well. And I had seen it with a lot of my friends. When the older people go, then you have to have someone that steps up. And It's just sad to see it go. It really is. This is just like I said. This is just a perspective, and I'm just throwing out some ideas. And this is just a little teaser. I'm going to go on and on and on, and I'm trying to keep this video relatively short. It's up to like 5 minutes, I think, for the entirety. But this is just a quick little thing that I have going on in my head, and I just wanted to share some of my thoughts and ideas about, being a Gen Xer and see if anybody's interested and wants to have a conversation. If not, I'll just throw this in the trash can and, maybe do another project. But it's just thoughts and things that have just been going on in my head. At any rate, please like and subscribe. And any comments I would really appreciate. And thanks so much, and I hope you have a great day and everything's all good with your life. All right, guys, off I go. Thanks, guys. Beep, beep.